Welcome everybody to Core Office Hours number 42, My Core Purpose. Bienvenidos, ni hao, bonjour, hola, yo. As every week, we're joined by our system community from everywhere, spanning the globe, all the way from the Philippines to Mexico to Panama, Los Angeles, where I'm at right now, Portugal, Romania, India. Every week we have people from everywhere. Today it'll be fun to find out where people are. Last office hours we had people from Africa, and I don't even have Africa in there. What? That's a problem. We need to totally add Africa to that. Our mission here at the system is to empower creative leaders to transform global businesses through design, the work that we do for our clients, for ourselves, for our communities, to design a better future together. That's really our mission and our goal. The agenda today, we're going to do the drop-in as always. We are going to start with core QA today and answer John Mark's question right away. And then I'm going to share a little bit of the exercises we did in Panama for my core purpose, do a prioritization of the values exercise that we did last week or last office hours. And then of course the upload, which is what you got out of today's session, music and no cookies, which is just hanging out at the end. You should ask someone that story, what that means. And Core Office Hours is brought by Core Discovery, which is a step-by-step design strategy framework at coreismagic.com. And really the premise or the foundation of it is that if you can actually align the essence of who your clients are, the brand, quote unquote, their users or their customers' needs prioritized, and their business goals prioritized, and have those three things as a foundation, you can really take more control and better co-creation or collaboration with your clients in defining what it is. And it's always fun to share stories of how that's impacted us. But we're going to go straight into the drop-in. The drop-in is your name, your location, what you do. And today it's what is one thing you want to contribute to others. So it's a nice feel-good drop-in today. I'll model it. My name is Jose Caballer. I am in Los Angeles, California currently. What do? I'm a graphic designer focused on user experience and UI, who became a facilitator and an online teacher and a traveler, to say the least. By that meaning like exploration. And what's the one thing I want to contribute to others? I'll look at it historically, and then I'll look at it forward. Historically, it's been really empowerment and inspiration and like helping people make that jump from where they are to the next step. And as I move forward in the journey, it's not going to necessarily change drastically, but I was pondering on this this past week in a conversation with a friend and designer. And it was a conversation about service to self versus service to others, and the integration of being able to be in your purpose and contribute to the world and be of service, while still at the same time having a foundation of what you need at the same time. And that to me was an interesting conversation because it really came down to the idea that Core uses when you do it for yourself, which is that you basically define yourself and then align with others around you by defining their needs and your needs and seeing how those things can sync up. And a hint at that is that the geodesic dome in the Core Discovery 3.0 kit is the manifestation of that idea. Those three things: who you are, who your co-creators, users, customers are, and what their needs are, and then also defining yours and your goals together, which goes into the triangle here. Your purpose, taking action within community, and being able to move things forward is the way. Ask me later, there is a book that, if you're creative, actually outlines this entire process of how to create something from nothing, by Scott Belsky. And this is the formula: defining yourself and what you contribute to others, what actions you need to take, and then having a community that you tell them and they help you be accountable to them because you're in service to others. Super amazing book. It's called Making Ideas Happen by Scott Belsky, the founder of Behance, who's now head of product at Adobe. All right, so that's my very long drop-in. Please keep yours a little short. I apologize that I made it into a teachable moment, but that's it. So I'll pick Alejandro, who's laughing at something. It's probably me.
I don't apologize for sharing your wisdom. So it's great. So my name is Alejandro. Right now I'm located at Guadalajara, Mexico. I recently moved here, but I'm from Costa Rica. I'm a brand designer, and one thing that I think I have a calling to show other creatives the potential of enjoying life. It's like life is so juicy, it's like so enjoyable, and I think my calling is show creatives how to achieve that, how to enjoy their lives while doing what they love. So that's me.
I love that. Pick someone.
And I choose TJ Maxwell.
Hello. Apologies, I would go on camera, but I'm crusting right now, so I'm in my crust mode. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, sorry. So I'm TJ. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. My purpose is to basically help people make the biggest impact of the 21st century through design. And I am a brand strategist and web designer. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Am I forgetting anything else?
No, you got it down. You hit it right up. Just pick someone and we keep on flowing.
Let's go with Daniel.
Hey everybody, Dan Katie. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm a designer whose focus is on the intersection of brand where strategy meets creative execution. But my background's long tail, 20 years as a designer. Let's see. So the mantra for me this year is to create more than I consume, and that's my contribution. And so looking for opportunities to, deliver insights and bring and drive value.
Awesome. Pick someone.
Okay. John Mark. There you go.
Hi, John Mark. My name is John Mark. I live in Orange County, California, so pretty close, Daniel, to you. I'm a brand strategist and brand designer. What do I want to contribute? I really want to help brands become relevant and produce relevant and meaningful products and services. And I particularly care about elevating B corporations that care about people, planet, and profit. I
love that. Pick someone. That's a good topic. Talk about what corporations are.
Yeah, Todd.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. I'm Todd Mudloff. I'm in Los Angeles. I am a product guy, a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, one thing I want to contribute to others, I guess, sort of commonality and an outgrowth out of design thinking, but how crucial solving the right problems is when you're tackling projects, when you're tackling an initiative, and what it really means to be empathetic to all your users, whatever thing you're working on, and how enlightening both those things as they meet and powerful they can be. And is anyone left?
I'm going to try again to bring Cintley on stage. Let's see if this works.
Is anyone on stage that hasn't gone?
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Brewster, and
hey, Daniel.
Jose and I were at Art Center together in the mid-90s, and I'm a longtime follower of his. And I've been working as an Apple consultant for the last 25 years. So just trying to meet the needs of my clients, and I align with a lot of what you guys have said so far. So thanks for being on the call.
Thanks for joining us.
John Otero and Cynthia, I'm trying to bring you on stage. Trying to figure out, here's what I'm going to do for you. I am going to make.
Chitley is. There they are.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello? Can you hear me?
made it.
Yeah?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I am in the supermarket. So very happy to be here and to listen. I cannot activate my camera. I don't know why. But what Jose, I met you here in Panama, and what I can contribute to all of you guys that have joined in this core experience. I had this fabulous experience of looking inside to myself and finding the essence, looking at others as a mirror. So that was an amazing experience that allowed me to keep growing. I am not in the creative world as you guys, but I am a finance girl, actually tax woman, international taxation. And what I was mentioning to Jose and the group, who everyone was creators and marvelous souls, is that allowing me to be close to people with that level of creativity match with me in a way I am a creator as well, right? Tax structures, or how to advise a client, how to do the things correctly without paying more what we should. But it's
so
like a different way
Cynthia,
of
the drop in it is what is the one thing you'd like to contribute to others?
I would like to contribute that connection between the connection, right? Between whatever it sounds difficult, to make it easier for the people who is not into the finance world or the tax world, right? I can contribute on facilitation and support. Yeah.
Got you. Thank you. So basically, to help people who find it hard to do, the business and financial things easier. That's awesome.
Yeah. You did not go against. You embrace it.
Yeah. So this was the beginning of the conversation before we went online. Brian Jimenez talked about spreadsheets. You can help Brian Jimenez with spreadsheets. There you go. Thank you, Cynthia. I really appreciate you being here. John Otero. And then Jeremiah.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Happy Friday, everyone. My name is John Otero. I've been a longtime core user from the very beginning, since 2015, when it first, one of the earlier editions came out. So I definitely have a lot of experience with it. I'm a creative director for a digital marketing agency that specializes in SEO and web design specifically. And the one thing I want to contribute is to help other creatives understand core and how to connect its value to prospects to change the perception of what we do to, to our prospects and business partners.
Beautiful. Thank you, John. That's a real mission there. Change people's perception of what creatives can do. Love it. And then other than Sheldon, is there anybody else, or have you gone, Sheldon? Cynthia went, Daniel Brewster went. It's good to see you, Daniel. It's been a long time. I'm in Venice right this minute, by the way. Sheldon, all you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
There we go. How's everyone? Name is Sheldon Brevet. Currently in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a designer of all things. Primarily what I want to contribute to the world is utilizing my skills as far as being a designer and using core to tell or craft better stories for small business owners in the cannabis space. There's a lot of opportunity there, and I feel like that would be a big win.
It's beautiful. Cannabis space is amazing. Welcome, and thank you for sharing that. Anybody left, or I'm going to move us to the next part of the agenda, which is the introduction to core QA. Yeah. Brian, did you go?
Not yet, but I can go.
You go.
Well, my name is Brian Jimenez. I'm a brand strategist and designer and creative director at Archimedes Branding. It's a branding studio in LA area. I help businesses to level up their businesses, their products, and their vision. A lot of times it's a lack of direction or understanding of what their key differentiating factor is. And I help them with that. But what I would like to contribute to others is to help others to see that they can do more than what they've been told that they can do. As someone who was told that I was learning disabled and that I wasn't good enough and that I couldn't accomplish things, my goal is to be able to show others that you can step up and break those barriers and boundaries that are put around you to be able to transcend them and reach your higher goals. So that's what I'd like to contribute to others.
Beautiful. You're making me want to cry. And then TJ Maxwell goes, ADHD for the win. It's a superpower. Love it. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate that. So the core Q&A, here's the format. Here are the rules. Thank you everyone for your drop-ins and sharing. You can also drop in the chat, cousin Marlene and everyone else who's in the audience, Clifford, etc. Here we go. And Andrew, I know you're with kids, but you can always contribute in the chat. So the core Q&A, here are the sharing rules. It's based on Gestalt protocol, which is used by Entrepreneurs Organization, which I was a member for several years. And it's based on the fact that people don't like to get advice per se, but they will listen to shared stories of similar situations. The rule is one, no advice. So an example, you should do it this way, or here, that's bad. Here are a few ways I have done it or seen it done before. That's good. Speak from the eye, only share primary or secondary experience. I witnessed somebody do it this way. Do your best to follow the sharing rules. And I want to start out with the question that you asked about core sales, John Mark, and allow other people to answer it here from the community who have experience on how they sell the facilitation or the discovery phase of a project and have their clients pay for it. So why don't you go ahead and ask the question and tell us a little bit more about the challenge you're having or what you want to figure out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jose. Yeah, I'm newer to offering brand strategy to my clients, and some clients don't know that they're looking for strategy or don't want to pay for strategy on the one side, and then the other side is, for me, how do I communicate the value of strategy and price it and create it as a service product? I'm just curious if anyone has experience with that. Thank you.
Beautiful. So let's popcorn whoever wants to raise their hand and answer that. Veterans like Brian or Alejandro, John Otero. I cede you the floor.
Yeah. So in my case, what I have done, for instance, right now I'm working on a big project for a bank here in Mexico that entails creating the brand strategy, the naming, the website, brand identity, and so on and so forth. And the reason, the way that I got actually this project was one of my friends here in Mexico, actually my business partner, He told me that he has this website that he was working on, and he asked me that if I would be interested in creating a website. Be part of the design process. And I said yes, and I started asking him like questions like, "What is this for?" and so on and so forth. And he said, "You know what? I think I just don't have all the answers that you're asking me. Why don't we set up a meeting with the client and we go, with all these questions?" And then in the meeting, pretty much that's what I did. I started asking them questions, and in them answering those questions, they realized that they lack the clarity, which is the problem that strategy solves. At the end of the day, what you want is to let them discover that they are lacking clarity by asking good questions, and then you can say, "Oh, okay, well, we can help you with that." And so then is when you offer the solution, which I think that Jose has said this in the past. You don't have to say, "So I have this core process," or whatever. You don't have even to come up with a name, but you can say, "We can have these meetings where we facilitate the process of coming up with all these questions or all these answers that we're lacking right now." So I think that's the way that I have solved the strategy. They don't even call it a strategy. It's just sessions where we just find answers to their questions.
Thank you, Alejandro. Appreciate that. Anybody else wants to take on how they sell discovery?
Okay,
I'll just
I can contribute just a little bit to it then. Just a
Go,
snippet.
Sheldon, and then Todd.
What I was gonna say was that the way that I started to roll it out was actually with new clients. I would say this is my process as far as how I actually take on projects, and that doing this workshop is how you'll facilitate having the actual statement to actually use for their company whenever they're talking about it. And also pull out of it some elements that could be used for their website. Just trying to dumb it down for some of the clients that may not even care about things like that. But if you apply it to, for instance, things like what they might use for their website, then maybe they won't even consider it as an itemized thing, just rolled into your whole process. That's it.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Sheldon. So to recap or reread that, you basically make it part of your own process, and you share that with them before you close the engagement that you're going to do that in your process. It's awesome. Todd.
Just to, I think we're all saying the same thing in similar, maybe overlapping ways. The companies sometimes have a bad reaction to hearing the word discovery or hearing the word strategy. And just like Sheldon was saying, like calling it a workshop, kind of foundational workshop, whatever you want to do. And even if you need to lay out why that's necessary, that say, well, here's the goal. In order for us to get to the goal, here's, a bunch of questions that are unknown, at least to me, right? And sometimes they can answer those. Sometimes, you can provide them a questionnaire, and the only thing that's essential there is that there's a step where we confirm, like, okay, is everybody who's a stakeholder on this on the same page that these are in fact, what we think the answers to these things are. And when it's not, then the workshop's necessary, right? And I don't have to call it, again, avoid the strategy word, avoid the discovery word, but like the foundation building workshop. And these great exercises that you have, and that there's also it can take an afternoon, it can take, depending on the organization, and what needs to be tackled, and what's involved, how much alignment is necessary, and all that can take, weeks or months sometimes, depending on the situation. And that's part of navigating the client management meets like high quality services experience.
Beautiful. Thank you, Todd. Can I ask real quick, in terms of your practice, what are the primary types of engagements that you're doing, John?
I'm doing brand design, but really brand storytelling for all customer touch points. So I take them through identity design. It could be packaging. It could be web, environmental, even film, telling brand narratives through film as well. So it's taking a company and helping them communicate their brand and position their brand. So strategy then becomes really important on the front end. This core has been really, really interesting to think about. How do I implement this so that we're positioning the brand in the right way within the market?
Got it. So how had you done it in the past? How did you do the briefing and finding out what they needed, et cetera?
A call or a meeting with a series of questions, but not nearly as in depth as what Core has done. And so it was really superficial at best. And then design became more of a facade than it did a part of something that was very strategically based. So finding Core and implementing strategy is a way for me to grow how strategic design can be in my business and for my clients.
Gotcha. Love it. So that one of the best things is always to share artifacts. I'm going to share a very quick artifact just for a top line. And by artifact, I mean example. This is actually the built-in session for a startup, and it was built into the project on the scheduled, and the client was somewhat familiar with the fact that we were going to go in to do some things that we needed to do in order to set a foundation for the understanding, and it was in the SOW. So rules, trying to get what people wanted to get out of the session, and then the different exercises, the brand attribute exercise, explaining it first, showing an example of the outcome, then going through it and doing it with them. Let's do it, and doing it really quickly because this startup very busy, and then putting it into a quick statement with them while we're on there, and then doing the user profiles first by outlining the top three general, and then going into more detail and doing them together, and always prioritizing them at the end. We didn't finish anything else. We didn't have time, so we scheduled another session and did that afterwards, but then let them know that next we would do a brief and we would do stylescapes and what it looked like, which we did do and delivered that, and I'll show that at another time. But it's basically, I try to put it into flow in a way that is natural to the engagement, knowing how busy they are, knowing that they don't have a lot of time. An hour and a half to try to do the first exercise and a few user profiles. It's not something that it's not horrible, right? They're going to be okay. One challenge, I think, I would call it a mistake or a lesson, is not presenting the entire process, including the delivery of design, not prioritizing or doing the third exercise, which was prioritizing what their objectives were, was a mistake of not pushing to schedule that session. When things are moving really fast, prioritization, I've discovered, becomes so important that without it, it really just throws off a lot. So John Otero, you have your hand up, and Brian Jimenez. We'll go, John.
Yeah, so an example of a scenario I've encountered a couple of times, and I don't know if you would, is people who've come that got a logo the first time, and now they're looking to get it done a second time or get it redone. And one of the questions I'll ask them is, okay, great, can I see your brand guidelines? And then they'll be like, well, I didn't get one. And I'm like, okay, so we don't have any brand guidelines. So how did we get to this logo? Oh, well, they just designed it. And then I'm like, so why are you not happy with it? Well, I feel it doesn't communicate what I want. And then that's kind of my opening to say, okay, well, this is why we do discovery. And it's funny, I know Todd says not to talk, as Ed mentioned, not to mention it is strategy and whatnot. And I can kind of agree with that too. I actually avoid workshop because I think the word work can be a negative output for a busy business owner who's like, okay, more homework. So I'm like, so I just call it discovery. And I'll kind of flip the tables and I'll be like, okay, well, if you're a service-based business and somebody comes and tells you, I need this because they self-diagnosed, how do you know they're right? So they go and they do their own kind of discovery by maybe going out to, if it's they go to the house to maybe scope out what's wrong with the house. If there's some sort of house repair company or service-based company, they need to ask questions too. And I'm pretty sure that they'll find a way to bake into their proposal the time that they spent to do that consultation if it's quote free. So the same thing can be done there. If we're finding out, how did you get to where you are? If you weren't happy with this deliverable. The second part is I include it in the process. I use it as a one-off sometimes as well. So like Sheldon said, including it in the process. So I will give a wider range of a quote because I don't know what I don't know yet, but the discovery helps align that. And then, possibly we could scale the quote down, or if they're already happy with the quote range that I gave them, then the rest is pocket change. So, the other way that you can look at that is saying, okay, well, discovery is part of it. If you want to see if we're the right fit, why don't we just try this discovery first and you'll get the document. And if you don't like the way I did things, you can take this and go somewhere else. So basically it's a win-win for them. If they spend the time with you, they get something, they get a tangible out of it. And by then, and I can tell you from my own experience, there's still a lot of agencies that do not do this kind of deep dive. I'm still seeing a lot of agencies, especially in my area, that still don't do this. So it's a separator. And I can't tell you how many times people have been surprised by discovery because of the in-depth quality questions that are asked during core. So by offering it as a minimum low engagement, and I offered it in my freelance services for free until I really perfected it. That's one way you can do it. Just kind of offering it as complimentary until you can master it, and then you can start assigning value, from a dollar price point to whatever you think works for you. But in short, either include it in your process and let them know that's part of it. Don't call it a workshop, in my opinion. And then, like I said, you can also let them know that if you just want to see if we're a fit check, just break it off as a one-off and maybe charge it at a low rate.
It's beautiful. Very nice. Thank you so much for that, John. And we have next Daniel with his wisdom, or Daniel fell off. Oh no, Daniel Brewster, you're still here.
I'm here.
Go for it. What do you have to share?
Well, I wanted to, AI. I want to talk about AI and core.
Wait, hold on. We're helping John Mark.
Okay.
To be clear. Don't take us into another direction. I know it's an Aries moon and we're like, woo! But right. Let's finish with John Mark.
Okay, well, I think that...
How do you use discovery in your practice, helping people with their IT needs?
Well, it's expanding past IT. And that's sort of like my big news is that, that there's a natural transition from them asking me to help them get their IT needs met to them asking me to do more creative services. And that's been a natural progression over the years. And I won't go into the history, you know the history of it already. So adding more of those services and being more upfront that there's this arc that all the businesses go through, that eventually it's going to, and using core, I use a version of core to look at their technology, but then as we advance, then I, continue to ask more deeper questions about what they need as far as their creative and how to promote their businesses and what does that mean for their website and their brand and all those kind of things. So I think I'm in alignment with everybody that's spoken so far, is that I'm just kind of bury it inside my process to try to figure out, to try to draw out of the clients what, you know, what direction they're headed and what their needs really are. Because for me, it's to expose what, you know, what their needs are, you know, where are their weaknesses, where do they need help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So John Mark, read it back to us. What did you hear? And what summarize what you took away from everyone sharing?
Yeah, thank you guys all for contributing. Really, really appreciate that. Sharing from your own stories. I'm taking away that that I can offer it as a part of the process. And it could be potentially the phase one of the client engagement, where we're working on, you know, really answering some of those deep questions and doing a deep dive, understanding the customer and positioning, but doing that as sort of a step one in the process that leads to more steps and an outcome that will really help them. So offering it as a part of it, being careful how to position it. Is it a workshop where we have to work, where work might be a word that entrepreneurs and founders don't want to hear? It could be kickoff, it could be discovery. That's what I'm hearing. What else?
Yeah. And a caveat to that, the finding of like, okay, workshop, wait, we don't want a workshop, work session, you know, all these words, right, that semantically might mean something to a founder or to a CEO. So I've come down to just kickoff session. Yeah. Like there's no other word. Work. We got to kick off the project, right? We're not gonna. We got to start it. And one thing that I said in the chat to land this was, you know, it depends a lot of times. In my experience, I've seen that, you know, a marketing director at a company, at a large company, you know, say e-commerce manufacturing company, is going to be more familiar with what agencies do and, like, you know, doing some sort of kickoff or discovery, whereas like a small business owner who you're working directly with the founder who has never done a brand identity before, my experience has been that they're either both more open and susceptible because they're like, well, do whatever you want to do, and sometimes less understanding because they don't know what you're talking about. So educating people, I switched all of that discovery kind of part of the process for my own agency to a very work session and like educational format. One reason is that I knew that I was going to actually switch the business. I knew 3-4 years before I started the school that I was going to switch the group from services to education. So I started making all of our deliverables be educational from the get-go, and then practice that over and over again. And the last thing I'll say is, like, believe it or not, you know, I still make mistakes in how I deliver core to my clients. And one of the things that I'm realizing is that, and John Otero said this, is a deep kind of, it's a really a deep questions framework. It maintains connection. So like figuring out a way that you can maintain that connection through the project, like you do the session, then you present it back to them, you show them the results, you always show the brand attributes next to the logo idea. Hey, this is based on these, picking like the top 3 across. So in Core 3.0, that whole positioning exercise is simply to pick 3 attributes that you can just hammer, and these are the 3 attributes, these are the 3 attributes, these are the 3 attributes. And what ends up happening, this happened recently, when they ask, like, what's the logo based on? Oh, go back to these 3 attributes. And people are like, oh, okay, got it. And then, you know, there's this breadcrumb that occurs of like cause and effect. And you're the one who came up with that, so we're doing what you came up with. So it's almost like a hat trick of saying, like, listening, reading it back, listening, reading it back. It's like a good coach or a good psychologist. It's like, you know, therapist would do. Oh, is this what you said? Okay, here, let me read it back to you. Yeah, showing receipts. I like that, TJ. All right, thank you, John Mark, for that beautiful question, and everyone for sharing. Any other questions in the core QA that anybody has? Core related. I'm sorry I did not have AI. I do want to talk about AI. Maybe we do need to do an AI show. or talk about AI. I've been using core attributes with AI, just to be clear. But any other question? Otherwise, I want to go into talking about my core and using core for yourself a little bit.
Jose, can I interject with something just to share like a success and one of the I think the aha moments or the moments where I see like a client shift in their point of view is when you offer up the what do you want out of this, the objective alignment, and then you get to see everybody start to open up because it starts to create an us versus you versus them, like a client a vendor relationship. It's actually us together like solving a bigger issue, and it's a huge unlock, and that's been an incredible tool.
It's a really good insight. To read that back to you, the minute that you start including people and doing the alignment exercise at the beginning, which is what do you want to get out of this, and then delivering, oh, I got that, and you continue that process continuously of like, what do you want to get, what do you want to do, boom, and you get it. What do you want to do, boom, and you get it. What do you want to do, boom, and you get it. In church, it's called call and response. You go, and the church says.
I've seen in younger organizations, people get emotional because they've never been asked to come to the table to participate. And
That's
so
beautiful.
the moment that you offer some reciprocity, what's in it for us together, as opposed to what I get out of it versus what I deliver to you, and it goes back to the beginning of the, what do you want to contribute? Well, I want to contribute that we can all do this together.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful reflection.
I wanted to add to that if I could, real quick.
Please do.
Daniel made a great point, and I think this is something that John Mark can take away when collaborating with clients is businesses are more hesitant to change because they don't believe anything's wrong. So they need to see what is wrong before they, and discovery can help that by asking questions, looking at the business goals, and, two execs versus one has two goals in mind and the other one doesn't, can help them understand, okay, foundationally, we're not on the same page here. So that goal alignment exercise is really helpful because that can open up new doors to saying, okay, so there is a problem. The problem is that there's no unity here. Or during discovery itself, I've seen it multiple times that they've then realized through the exercises that, okay, we were thinking of this the wrong way. And now we realize that something is wrong. And that's what CORE can do. It can definitely break down those barriers of hesitation from business owners who think everything's going okay. But you would learn that in time as you master it more, and you can read people and read the room, finding what's wrong foundationally and how you can help.
It really helps to reframe the narrative from what is this going to cost me to like, where is this going to help my business progress?
Yep.
Can I interject one thing since we're still on this topic?
Please do.
And all that's super useful. I found it useful as well to have this conversation using illustrations, not illustrations as in like, someone illustrating, but mental illustrations, make comparisons with, because the topic of brand strategy, the topic of discovery, the topic of, understanding who you are and what your vision is and gaining clarity and unity, those can be very abstract for certain types of people. And so sometimes it's necessary for us to use illustrations to describe these types of things. I've described some of these things as, let's say a vehicle that's has a body and a motor but no wheels, right? And you start to learn which parts of core, which parts of your business equate to each one of those, right? One example that I use is, for example, if you're buying a vehicle without a motor, well, then it's not going to get you where you need to go, right? And brand strategy and the process of core is like that motor that needs to be there. Now, there's nothing wrong with people who sell car bodies, right? There are companies who sell car bodies for kit cars and things, and that's fine. But if you think that you're buying a fully functioning car, then that's a problem. That's a major disconnect. And so by using illustrations, both at the selling process and like has been mentioning, during the actual process of trying to get alignment and trying to bring clarity, I like to use illustrations to help them to relate it to something that they're more familiar with. And it makes the concepts less abstract. And it essentially makes things a lot more clear. You have a car that's trying to run without wheels. Do you see a problem with that? Yes or no? And if they can't see that problem, then that's maybe it's the wrong customer for you. That's not reasonable enough in the way that they're doing things for you to move forward. But if they can see that there's 3 wheels and one's missing, and then that's why they're having issues, then there's something you can do with that. You can say, look, there's a wheel missing here. Let's work on getting all 4 wheels on there. Unless you want a 3-wheeler, you want to let's convert this into a 3-wheeler. If that's what you want, let's do that, right? But it creates a logical path for them to follow when you kind of use something illustrative that's familiar to them.
Beautiful. That was awesome. I fell off there for a second, but Daniel, you sent that only to
I'm
customer profiles. What did you want to say with the customer profile?
I'm gonna get outside the lines, if you know what I mean. I'm outside the box that you've defined, so I'm gonna try to stay inside the box. But I'm playing the chat GDP in the background.
Got you. Making customer profiles. Well, let's land this very quickly and wrap up, and then we can do open conversation at the end. And I just wanted to share this with you because it's interesting, also because it's meaningful. But what I said at the beginning, and Alejandro, thank you for that. It's like, hey, don't apologize for sharing. Is that the idea is to share and with your community what that is or what your intention is. And have that be a way that, because you are focused on service to others, you can deliver. So in the MyCore session in Panama, it was really for a friend, Hein, who I went to Art Center with, and Pape, who are actually up on YouTube. The Panama edition, Pape used Core for his wedding, and you get to see in the Panama edition Core office hours the attributes and the mood boards, and then you get to see pictures of the wedding. It was a great opportunity to celebrate the community. Remembering that Pape and I we had never met in person, it had always been here during our sessions, our system community sessions. So we started the exercise with desires and fears, which was an interesting exercise to add as it related to figuring out ideas to overcome those. So this is mine. Desires, global family, community of companies, live and flow, freedom, create a new culture. Fears, I'm too late, I'm older, I'm not enough, which is one of the biggest fears that we have. You mentioned it, Brian Jimenez, at the beginning. Afraid I can't do it. I can't manage the things, the complexity, etc. All these fears that I have and that you might share. And then this case scenario, I did Hein's brand attributes and he did mine core attributes. In this case, is the essence. And part of doing it for yourself is that you get to practice and understand it very tangibly as to, oh, here it is for me, and how this might affect my own trajectory and my own career and my own relationships with the people around me. So seeking was the culture that Hein came up for me. Co-creators are masters, meaning that they're people at a level. Everyone who's here on this call is a master, a core master. Voice explorative, this idea of having this dialogue be question and answer, and the fact that Core does that too. Really, I hadn't thought about that. I always, in my head, my negative self-talk says that I'm an obnoxious Puerto Rican guy, and that's the voice. The previous version of my personal core, the voice was witty, but that's a little bit, top level. And I love explorative. The feeling part, euphoric, reflective, transformed. I tried to understand what he meant by that. And he meant excited. People get excited about possibility, and that creates this sense of like, oh my God, I can do this. The impact of getting started. John, you're getting started on your core journey, and here we're supporting that, in this way. So this is a reflection not only of me, but also of who all the people here are. I am Todd. I am, Daniel Caddy. I am John Otero. I am Daniel Brewster. I am Daniel Jimenez. You know what I mean? We are each other because we are seeking mastery and community and doing it together. And then the X factor of all-roundedness was super interesting because that's all he came up with. I think there might have been a few. I don't think so. I think I had to ask him what he meant by that. And he meant that it wasn't just business, but it was also personal, and it was also life and, you know, health and wellness. That my approach to who I am is trying to integrate all the things, you know, community, belonging, purpose. So I felt very grateful of having that opportunity to have another person do this. And a new statement, Jose provides guidance and tools to masters in their fields. And that definition of fields was because Stintley, who's here, and there were several other people in the session who were not designers. So this sudden understanding that, you know, Todd is, you know, product person. Other people might not be, you know, brand and logo designers, but that they are masters in their field, whatever that might be, and expanding the reach towards that. Entrepreneurs, CEOs, marketing folks, in a seeking culture, meaning people are looking for the answers with an explorative voice, helping them feel or helping them reach a euphoric state that uncovers a new vision for their lives and for their business. I'm still uncomfortable with that word euphoric, though. I'm going to stick to it because that's what Hayne came up with. And the X factor is all-roundedness. How does this affect the trajectory of my understanding? This is the previous one. Jose provides brand transformation to powerful creators in an open and inclusive way with a witty voice, helping them feel confident to grow inside their purpose and the X Factor's connection. That's still true. But what I'm getting from this new version, especially all-roundedness, is this idea of it's okay for me to expand beyond like this kind of a narrow definition of who I'd been as a designer and begin to integrate more of the journey into what's next. And it gave me both permission for that, but it also leveled up the original kind of profiles of who my co-creators are a bit. And I will talk more about that later, but of expanding the co-creators circle, but also knowing, understanding, and acknowledging that, you know, the people that come here to core office hours, the people that have participated in the system in the past, but now it's beginning to become more and more filtered to this level of like, okay, you were already at a certain level in your career, and now you're seeking that next level and the edge, that it's really masters already in practice jumping to the next level. So it focuses my understanding of co-creation to being at a higher level with people that are ready for this next step. So with that in mind, and hitting 12:01 here on the West Coast, I wanted to elicit you guys as a quick, we're gonna do a 5-minute like exercise, and we can use the chat or you can yell it out. I wanted to land this from the last exercise. As I said, I would put it on social media and I didn't. So I'm holding myself accountable. And I wanted to do top 3 desires, fears, and values. To get you an idea, last core office hours, we did this exercise because we had done it for the My Core session in Panama, but this was about the community. So this was all of us doing the same exercise that I did in order to come up with the top 3 values and explore that around the topic of content, but also what it means to be inside those values. So I'm gonna put 3 minute on the and do 1 minute each. And basically whatever people call out will be, here, I'll put 1 minute on the timer in the chat or cancel 2 minutes. We'll do 2 minutes. On the count to 3, I'll read the desires column, and you guys are gonna like put in the chat or yell out which ones you think should be the top 3. You've done core, you know how this goes. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, go. Designers as founders, that's a desire we have as a community. Small businesses that thrive, work that is meaningful for us. More scientists as entrepreneurs, community engagement, impact, raising people from poverty, abundance, scalability, inclusion. Which ones of these would be the top 3 for you guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, work that is meaningful.
There we go. Meaningful work, abundance, and inclusion. Boom. Those are the three. Go ahead. Repeat that.
You mean work that is meaningful, then abundance and inclusion?
Do they sound right? They sound, that's what we desire. All right. What are our top fears? I'll read them out. I'm not enough. Fear of being found out, or imposter syndrome. Not the best. I'm Mexican. I'm a woman. I'm queer. I fear of believing, people believing in me. Exploitation. Can you hear me?
It's been breaky, but we can hear you now.
Put top 3 fears in the chat. On this count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm not enough. Assumptions. One more. And I'm not enough and not the best are similar. One more. 15 systems. Interesting. Anybody else other than Daniel?
We have 3 already, I think.
Yeah, we have 3. Not the best, assumptions, and conflicting systems. I'm not enough and not the best are similar. So that we'll make that into 1, assumptions and conflicting systems. I forgot what assumptions was, but I think that could also be the ones, women, Mexican, all those assumptions that people have about each other. All right, the last one, the top 3 values: inclusion and acceptance, open mind, common purpose, opportunity, kairos, empathy, open to every human experience, growth mindset, decentralization, transformability, patience and humility, abundance, open mind. I love that. Co-creation. Boom. One more. Sustainability. That's of revenue. That's a B Corp. Sustainability of planet, people, and planet, and purpose or profit, I think it is. That's the timer. Thank you everybody for participating and for helping me on that one. Transformation. We're getting more. Co-creation, sustainable, S.
At the bottom.
That common purpose, co-creation. Love it. And as always, like in the process, I always have the results, say that, we make our work more meaningful, to live in abundance and to be we're not the best, and we make assumptions, conflicting systems. And at the end, I'm breaking up open mind, common purpose, transformability, sustainable, and co-creation. I'm going to wrap us, and I'm going to have us go to the upload, so that people can go. So let's do the upload. What did you get out of this session? Popcorn. Just popcorn. Start doing it.
That I'm not alone.
And pick someone. I'm going to fix my internet while you guys are doing this.
Alejandro.
Okay. Well, inspiration as always. I think I got my bi-weekly dose of that, and I'm super happy and pumped and see, a bunch of creatives and people that will just want to really enjoy life and do meaningful things. And so, yeah, that's what I get out of it. and I choose Daniel. Daniel, I see there's two. Daniel Brewster. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that.
I'm just really excited to get reconnected with the community, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm playing with this artificial intelligence thing, and I think it's a really big opportunity in relationship to core, from the perspective that, you know, we were experts in defining these attributes, and then, you know, feeding the attributes into artificial intelligence is exercises that I'm actually running right now, and it's very interesting. Who's up next? Let's see. Todd, you want to go?
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. And I'm excited about AI too. I think there's a lot of incredible things there to be revealed. My upload is I feel connected and reinforced. So it's really good to hear the alignment that so many of us had around John Mark's question. And that's very, feels good to hear that stuff and to get other people's perspectives, you know, on kind of different flavors of how to tackle that sort of stuff. Marlene, do I go next?
I'm here, I'm listening. I have to apologize. I don't have a clear upload, other than every time I meet with everyone, I always feel inspired. That's pretty much it. So there you go. And happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Marlene. And do you want to choose somebody to go?
You know, it's so crazy. I'm only seeing 2 windows on my iPad. So and both of you have already spoken. So I don't know who else is there. For some reason today, I have the chat's disabled. I can't see anyone. So you choose someone for me.
Okay, no worries. John Otero.
Yeah, thanks. This has actually been a goal of mine to start reconnecting into just outside of work. I'm a deep introvert, so I have a lot of fear of public speaking. I have a lot of fear of being in public spaces. So I'm working on it. My goal this year is to be a little bit more outgoing. So the first start here is going virtual, and then graduating towards more in-person meetings. But this was great, and I'm always happy to help anybody. Like I said, I've been using Core since 2015, so I'd be more than happy to help anybody or answer any questions for anybody that, you know, they want to know in terms of Core. I think Core is very valuable to what the future of marketing can be, and changing the perception of designer to partner, really. So thank you everyone for having me today. This is really great, and I look forward to continuing this as we move along.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel privileged that you feel the kind of comfort with this community to both help you be a vehicle to face that and to share it with us. So that's really special. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, one step at a time, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for being so open and kind. I'd like to pick Sheldon.
I appreciate that, even though I missed some of this due to a technical difficulty. I was gonna ask what was John Mark's question because it seems like
No,
everyone
it's the
resonated.
upload. The upload, Sheldon, is what did you get out of today's session? It's our last part of our agenda.
Okay. What I got out of it was, first impression was that I definitely need to come back so that I can contribute a little bit more, because I'm definitely interested in the community that you built, and I get a good feeling out of resonating with other creatives. So I'm trying to create that space in order to do so.
Beautiful. Thank you. Pick someone.
Let's see. Who's in that hasn't gone? Did Todd already go?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I did.
Is there? Call yourself out if you haven't gone. I'm going to turn my camera back on. I know I've been choppy. Let me know if you guys can hear. Go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, this is Brian. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for sharing. As much as I'm a champion for, you can do it yourself and make things happen. Together we can do more. This is it's an existence where we coexist, and it's commutative. So by sharing and everyone, not just sharing advice, but experience and personal stories and ideas, I think it'll raise the tides and lift all the boats. That's all for me. I can't see who's next, but
pick yourself. If you haven't gone and you want to share and you feel moved, do it. If not, I'll do the wrap up and get us into the weekend. Well, my upload is gratitude. Like I said on Twitter, every time that we do core office hours, I'm nervous before it. And then once it happens and once I get my own fill of support and, grounding from the community and from listening to other stories and sharing my own stories. So I encourage you to go out there. The tools that you learn here in core office hours that you learn from core, how can you apply them to other things in your life? Like Papa did his wedding, like you could do it for yourself, you could do it for relationships. How can we co-create in a way that is aligned on an ongoing basis is really the question I always ask myself. And in my own purpose and in the process that I've used over the last 5 years to navigate the time from 2017 to today, I always track back to, am I in my core? Am I in my essence? Am I aligned to my purpose? Am I doing what's meaningful? And my decision making goes always towards that. Because sometimes, things get crazy, choppy, you get down, you get up, but always going back and saying, okay, am I doing what my community says, that they see me as? Because remember, the core, the key is not that you define it and dictate it, is that you do it together. So the minute that you're tied in to everything you do, your essence, who you are, your core statement, your purpose, and the actions that you take and are aligned to that are all held and witnessed by the community. And if you fall out of integrity with yourself, your community can hold you accountable. Am I doing what I said I would do? But more importantly, am I being who I am at my elemental level? This idea of we're not enough comes through so much in everything we do. The first webinar we did in 2020, I think, was called Imposter Syndrome, or we did one. And I see it come up over and over again. But something that I've learned myself recently is that it's not about healing or improving or being better. It's about accepting that who you are is who you are, and it's enough. That then defining your essence is simply taking out what's already there and being inside of that essence, being inside your purpose as you move forward on the journey, with your community, with the people around you, with your friends, with your spouse, with your partner, with your coworkers, with your collaborators, with your co-creators is the key to building the abundance, sustainability, etc., that we just define in the values. So I'm very appreciative of everyone being here today and participating and contributing. Lots of love. This is it. We are the system. Much love. If you heard something, hopefully that was enough audio, but yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Say goodbye. Now we can just.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Jose,
Yes.
would it be okay if Daniel's still interested, if we hang out a little bit here and just talk AI?
Do it. This is a nice after hours conversation. I'm going to get up and use the restroom while you guys do that.
Hey, Daniel, you still there?
Yeah, yes, great. Let's go.
So,
My favorite topic.
go for it. You want to kick it off?
Well, I just took the attributes, the whole list of attributes that Jose just posted, not just the ones that we let me just set this to all. And well, of course, the chat only let me do it in little sections. So let me go back and get a little section. So I'm just sort of interested how it responds to, these lists that we create when we're doing discovery, and like how it gets me thinking. So I think the superpower for me of this whole chat, all the AI that I've been playing with, mainly text stuff, GPT, not gonna let me do that one either, okay? And is that instead of working with like a blank canvas, which I sort of have a problem, all the sessions that I've done and been a part of around core, there is this sort of blank page syndrome. And then I also start to see these patterns start repeating, like everybody wants to be an innovator, or anybody wants to be, like there's sort of the mood of the society, or little subsets of the society that we tend to work with. This is like a green holistic company, and then so the words that come up are kind of great. I'm starting to see these patterns, which makes it feel a little bit not as useful, right? When I'm with these groups, and it's just like, how do I break them out of these patterns? And by plugging some of that stuff into artificial intelligence, it allows me to see other ways, like other directions that maybe I can push the group in to try to break outside that the sort of box that they get into. I don't know if you have similar experience.
What kind of when you say patterns, what kind of patterns are you seeing?
Well, I mean, let me put this last little section in. The list, that we just did, there's this pattern of imposter syndrome, right? So I'm not enough, about being found out, not the best. And then like these, it says Mexican, so I would say, race, women, gender, queer, sexual alignment, right? Like that, all of that stuff I think is imposter syndrome, kind of. It's just like, we don't need to be talking about it. I don't think it's a defining element of the brand necessarily. And, and I would want to try to address it a little bit and try to help them get through that, and then be like, well, let's get on to something that's more defining of the direction that we want to be going in. So that's, I move a little further down the list. I don't know if do you still have the list in front of you?
I don't.
Probably don't. So let me grab it back out of here and see how much of that it's going to let me post. Okay. So it sort of jammed it all together, but that's what we were talking about.
What context did you give ChatGPT when you?
In this case, none.
Got it.
I literally just took the list and just threw the list at it just
Got
to
it.
see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to. That's sort of part of the experiment. Is I don't want to tell it what direction to go in. I just want to take these attributes that we develop, as we're going through, we're doing the core exercises.
Almost like engaging ChatGPT in a stream of consciousness and see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like these are the results of our discovery.
Yeah.
What go ahead.
So no, go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
I'm just, how are you going to respond? And this is the response. It says,
right.
Here are some solutions that may help meet the needs of the individual. Is that too far? Yeah, that's too far. Okay. That was the previous one I did on a customer profile.
Right.
I'll show you that one in a bit if you want. It seems like it seems like you provided a list of keywords and topics. Here are some potential ways to connect these ideas and themes. Great. Let's do that.
Interesting.
Let's connect those ideas and themes together. So designers as founders. Okay. That's sort of interesting. Community engagement, definitely. Inclusion and acceptance. Great. Growth mindset. Okay. And I think that this subset that it responded with might be more accurate to making a brand than the original list. You see where I'm going?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think that context, for me, and I'm obviously super early days with the AI, but I think the thing that you're saying, which is very interesting way to go about using AI, the ChatGPT as a tool, right? Is the context list way, right? I've been very focused on the opposite of like, I need to give it all sorts of context in order to get it to the right place. The right place to have to engage in in getting a good foundation. That's what I've found it really interestingly useful for is like early drafts, by like starting giving it some context and starting a conversation, and that it can really speed up those early drafts. Like if I were writing a brief, a creative brief, and to be able to say, hey, I'm writing, be able to fill in some of the blanks, Mad Lib style of like, it's for this kind of company, these are the, we talk to them about these are their values, and I'm trying to come up with a 500 word or less creative brief, and that it will draft something, and that it may be 40% of what it needs to be.
Sure.
But the thing but also incredibly useful foundation, right? Be like, wow, that's, I can do the next, 60%, and even using it as a tool to get, to get to the 80%. And then it's like, I have to really engage and shape, but it just makes things so much faster.
Sure.
But the point you're making, which I think is really an interesting tool way to think of it as a tool, is to not give it context and see what it comes up with as well. So many people are out there saying, hey, here's exactly how you have to, here's a great way to structure a query to get X, Y, or Z out of this, right? For ChatGPT. And I think the very, and really strong insight you got is like, well, look at things this way too, divergently almost, right? In a way to, ensure that, you leverage it for everything that it can do.
Yeah, and then
So-
and then sort of continuing that idea along, that there's Mid-Journey and Dolly and other things that then we can take. In this case, I would peel off the beginning sections. So designers as founders, community engagement, inclusion and acceptance, growth mindset, resilience, generosity and collaboration, sustainable and life preserving. So I'd strip those off and then go load those in Dolly and say, I need a logo for a medical device company that includes these elements, and then to watch what it, how it responds to that. Right. And then
to me, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, this sort of idea of stacking different artificial intelligence, starting with ChatGPT and going through a Dolly or something like that, or going ChatGPT into Quillbot and then into, Mid-Journey, just how can we, as these tools become more abundant, how can you, not just use one, but add them together to and, help us get to the way that it would respond to that as far as a visual element. I think you're using a lot of math and computational power and I think it will do I haven't done these exercises, but the way that I envision it is I think it's going to result in how you just described it. It's going to get us like 40, 50, 60% down the road. And then we're going to take that back into, whatever tool we're using, the Adobe set or whatever you're using. And then you finish tweaking it down and making like the final elements and versions and things like that you might present.
Yeah.
This is an awesome conversation, guys. Go ahead. Yeah, one more person, and then I do have to go because I have an appointment in 20 minutes. But this is awesome.
I'm good. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, so we don't have to dive in any further.
Why don't we have the next core office hours be on AI? But one more person.
Well, I was just going to really quickly just jump in and say that, I think part of the reason why this is important is because some designers end up feeling that they will be completely replaced, right? And this is a case in point that it's not likely certain aspects of design will be replaced, illustration, things like that, but there are certain aspects that won't. That requires a different type of problem solving, but also going back to being able to use different layers of the technology. I like to look at what the limitations are for those technologies and try to understand that first, as much as possible. And that gives you a good idea as to know, how many you need to use in the layers and how to use them. Like, for example, with things like ChatGPT, they're going to be, since they're scraping the internet for what's culturally relevant, particularly at this time, the inputs, the outputs are going to kind of lean towards that direction. And so if we don't provide it context, it will provide us the current context of the cultural landscape. But if we're aware of that limitation, then we can provide the context, and then we can, have it give us the information that we need when it comes to whatever company values or other things that we're trying to implement. Just real quick to drop that in real quick.
Yeah, I think one of the more fascinating things about that is you can tell it exactly what kind of profile you want it to be. Like, if you want it to be an expert, you could set it up to be one of your user profiles. Hey, your user profile on this business, you are this kind of thing, like, and like use it as for like almost like an AI interview with a prospective, customer. It's super interesting that way.
Yeah,
it's super interesting that way.
So let's do it. The next core office hours in 2 weeks will be on AI. I'm having dinner with my client tonight, and I'll ask him a little bit if there's any opportunity for us to be able to show the product because basically the product allows you to build prompt engines, quote unquote, for anything using any of the existing APIs from the different AI tools existing out there, from DALL-E to Midjourney to ChatGPT. And one of the biggest uses obviously is in design, marketing, etc. But this tool allows you to just build the prompt engine. Like if we wanted to build core on this tool, we could just combine these attributes with these customer priorities, with these goals, and give us a strategy or whatever the output might be. It could, actually do it. There might be some middle, kind of components that need to be finessed in order to do it. But it's a very great conversation, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Daniel and Todd, having it continue as a flow. I've guided, I've made the notes, Daniel. I grabbed all your notes from here and from the recording. I'll make sure we outline them. It's really great.
So that was the customer profile number one, the Gabriella Recon, spiritual seeker from from Core 3.0, right? And that's so I just literally just grabbed the demographics through the solutions, the whole thing, and just dropped it. And what's in chat right now is how it responded. And I think, it's just right.
It's amazing. No,
it's
I
another
know,
way
I know.
to, I just think it's what we've been doing all along is prompts. The output of Core, in my mind, have turned into these prompts that then I can load and then see how it responds to me. And, and its responses are certainly get me thinking in different directions, right? And in directions that I wouldn't have thought of before. And then, and then we use our, lifelong experience of, creative, thinking about their responsiveness in a creative way, right? And then how can we then spin that back into making the results that whatever the output is going to be it the, the stylescape or the website or the brand, the logo, making it more accurate and relevant. And I think my gut level at least is that the client is going to be like, oh, these guys are not only doing this incredible discovery, they're also, using the latest cutting edge tools to result, and the result is this. And, like, I have never heard of anybody doing anything like that before. So
yeah, it cuts a lot of the thinking that you would have to do yourself, or it augments the thinking that you would have to do in order to provide direction to the company or client that you have. It's right on point. Thank you, everybody. Have a really beautiful weekend. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
And if you're around, Jose, just send me a chat.
Will do. I'll send you a text.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.